Okay, this is Dr. Mitchell again, and this time what we're going to look at using Excel, we're going to do a dependent t-test or a paired t-test or a repeated measures t-test using Excel. And I'm going to show you two methods that we're going to do this. One using, again, the function toolbar, and then the second one using the data analysis tool pack. So I have a different set of data here. So what this data is, what we looked at was subjects. We have 16 subjects, and with these subjects we measured LDL levels before and after a treatment. So same subjects got pre and post tested. So we have a pre data and our post data. So we're going to do a paired or a dependent t-test. So let's start with the functional toolbar. I'm going to go to FX, and I'm going to actually, let me put just p-value right there so I can have a place for that. Function. Again, I'm going to do t-test, t.test. If it's not there, you can just type in the search area that t-test and it'll find it for you. So there's t.test. Now again, very, very similar to the independent t-test. It wants to know some information. So it wants to know our first variable. So I'm going to highlight my first column of data, not the label, just the data. My second one, I'll highlight the data. Now it's going to ask me how many tails are there. Now, as we mentioned before, we generally are going to do two-tailed t-tests. Say that 5 times. So we're going to put two-tailed here. And then it's going to ask the type. Now this is the slight change here, is because this time we're doing a paired or a dependent t-test. So according to our instructions here, if you're doing a paired t-test, you're going to type in 1. Okay, so we're going to do that. I'm going to hit OK. And there's my p-value. So my p-value, and I'm just going to highlight that, make it big, is 0.078. Now, so that's my p-value. My alpha level, remember, my alpha level was, and for this study, I'm going to use 0.05. So, for these to be statistically significant, I need 0.078 to be less than 0.05, but it's not. Now, it's close, but it's not. So we would have to say that these groups are not statistically significantly different. Or, in other words, we have to accept our null hypothesis. So that would be the one way we can do it. Now, we can also use the data analysis tool pack. And so I'm going to go to our data, go to data analysis. If you don't already have this installed in Excel, you will need to watch the other video that I talk about where we can install it. And so I'm going to go to data analysis. I'm going to have my window open up, and now I've got a lot of options here. I'm going to choose the two t-test paired to sample for means. And so I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to give me similar questions as if I was using the function toolbar. First thing it wants to know is, where is your first variable? Now this time I'm actually going to include the label because the tool pack allows me to do that. So there's my first column of data. Variable 2, I'll highlight that. That's my second column of data. Now, it wants to know my hypothesized mean difference. Now this, for what we're doing in this class, that's going to be our null hypothesis. And so our null hypothesis is that there's no difference. So that'd be 0. So we're going to put in 0. Next, it wants to know, do you have labels? I do. I included the labels from the first row. And so we'll hit labels. And now it wants to know my alpha level. Now the default for Excel is 0.05. And I'm going to use 0.05. I'm pretty good with that. So my alpha level is 0.05. And last but certainly not least, it wants to know, where do you want this output sent to? And I'm going to put it in a new sheet. And we're going to hit OK. And then in a second, a new sheet pops up. And I'm just going to make these columns a little wider so we can see everything. And now what this has done is it's done the same thing we did with the function toolbar. It's just given us a lot more information. For example, it's given us the mean LDL values before and after, pre versus post. It's given us the variance. The standard deviation would just be the square root of that. It's given us a number of observations. It's given us the Pearson correlation. Not surprisingly, by the way, paired data, of course, is going to be very, very well correlated because these are from the same people. So that's not surprising. But we're not doing a correlation, so it's not helpful to us. Degrees of freedom, which is simply n minus 1 in each group. Now, the most important thing we want to know right now is that 0.07 right here, this p-value, that's really what we want to know. I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to make that bright yellow so we can see it. That is our two-tailed p-value. And just like when we did the function toolbar, we need that value to be less than 0.05, and it is not. It's close, but it's not. And so because of that, because it's greater than 0.05, we are going to have to say that these groups are not significantly different. In other words, we're going to have to accept our null hypothesis. So that's how we do a dependent t-test. I hope that was helpful for you, and we will see you in the next video.